Hello and welcome back. Once again, it's time for the golden age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since, and it is a constant source of great comic book shop style conversations. And I'm looking to recreate those those comic book shop style conversations right here, right now, with you. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We use this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 days book. We open up to today's date. We look at some Antediluvian comic book art. We read the blurb and then we talk about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. This is a 2004 Abrams publication, written and curated by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear. There is a link in the description to the Amazon page if you'd like to pick up your own copy. You can play along at home. It will look good on your coffee table, and it makes a great gift for a geek. What goes better with coffee table books and coffee table talk? Some freshly brewed, delicious coffee, or the cup of whatever you want. But pull up a chair and let's talk. Let's talk comic books. Look at the steam coming off of that bad Larry. Wow. This is Ethiopian ergachefe. It's a light roasted bean. And it is fresh and delicious. I like to start the show off with something I hold very dear. I call it the escapism caveat. Activism is very important. Activists should be respected. Yet their tactics lately, encroaching into our fandom spaces, is pretty obnoxious, and it's they're pretty much bullies now. What's just as important as activism is escapism, the ability to leave behind this world's problems just for a few moments in a day with our imaginations. Where else are we going to get such escapist moments? In our fictions, in our tabletop gamings, in our video games, in our TV shows, at church. These are just spaces, pre-existing spaces, that have been, besieged by activist culture. And it's just, hey, we need a break from things. We need to take a break from this world's problems, not to be constantly reminded about everything. What kind of person doesn't give you a break? What kind of person's going to constantly rub your nose in something? Our fandoms are just resources to these people, to disseminate their message. These are important to us, and we should treat it as so. But let's get to the nature at hand, the program, the show. Yes, today is August the 8th, El Ocho Agosto. I hope I said that right. Mi gente. Correct me in the comment section and tell me how bad my Spanglish is. Or is it Spinglish? Oh, gosh. I'm a chef. It's an important part of my my skill set. Ooh, it's time to wake up. That means the turkey's done. This is story by John Broome, art by our very own Alex Toth, godfather of the SuperFriends. Let's see, and this is from Green Lantern number 31 for April of 1948. A giant box of Pop Jacks, something like a Cracker Jack, is emptied out, and the prizes on display include jewelry, a Sleeping Beauty, and a popcorn kernel as big as the woman's head. Just like boxes of Cracker Jack and boxes of cereal also used to have a toy prize in the box as an incentive to get children to get their parents to spend their money. And one of those Antediluvian things. That means before the flood, the Noah flood. That's a big word. I paid $1.50 for that. I got a receipt. It's another one of those strange symbolic splash panels that are often more interesting than anything else in the story. Let's look at it. Yeah. Dun dun. Now I'm going to read the narrative caption. Silly? Of course, the fool is silly. In fact, he's ridiculous. He's so simple-minded, he hardly knows enough to step in out of the rain. And yet, this feather-brained brigand, this mental midget, manages to pull off the most daring crimes right in the face of mighty Green Lantern. Now, you tell us, or better still, read the amazing adventure of Beauty and the Fool. I've been working on that announcer voice. Let me know in the comment section if I need any help with this. But we get to see, this is the Sleeping Beauty that came out of the box of Pop Jacks. We see Green Lantern's feet in flight, in motion. We can tell that because he's lifted off the ground, and we can follow those speed lines that represent motion. And so Green Lantern is a flight-capable hero. Therefore, you can just, this is him in flight. And this is just a glimpse of an even larger page. So we don't know the full story, the full story. Oh, I was being foolish. Oh boy, what a bad pun. But also, this is a good place to start the conversation. I disapprove of the wording, I guess. I mean, it's antediluvian. That means, literally, it's the third time I've used that word today. It has a point. It means the Noah flood, and there was a new covenant after Noah and a second lease on life, and so the flood changed everything. Or we also can know it as the sea change, where you can see in the strata of the rocks where something changed in history. But it's about fair depictions of mental health in comic books. Today, in the now, there is such a big there's such a big deal made about feelings in mental health. I'm a big fan, usually, of that. Historically, I have been. Lately, I think it's overused. That trauma, as like, it's to be serious. I've been through therapy. I've been traumatized. I had a very harrowing experience in the workplace. My best work friend literally dropped dead of a heart attack, and I held his hand. I waited for the EMTs. He didn't make it, and the doctor. I saw a therapist after that. I was having troubles and sleeping, being triggered into stress and panic attacks. And I got diagnosed with those 4 little letters, PTSD. It's in my file, and it's not who I am. It's not my identity. It's something to know. But depictions of someone's intelligence or mental health. That's why there are sensitivities about that. Now, is that activism? Not per se. Not when used skillfully. Like, look at Batman. Batman, to me, is the patron saint of resilience, which is the point of therapy, and the opposition of trauma is this resilience that we get after we realize that we can get over these negative experiences. And so I just want to say I'm a huge fan of a podcast. It's called The Arkham Sessions, and you should check it out. If you like Batman, the animated series, you like mental health, you have an interest in psychology, there is a real licensed psychologist, and she works at a major university as well. Her name's Dr. Andrea Letamendi, and her husband Brian Ward do a podcast, and they have covered every single episode of Batman the Animated Series using a linear timeline and release to diagnose Batman and his rogues gallery, and to also illuminate and call foul on bad descriptions of mental health and practice in our fictions, specifically in something like Batman. Batman, who's loaded with significance and imagery, metaphor, and allegory about abuse, negative experiences, violence, trauma, quite literally, what created Batman, the traumatic incident of him witnessing his parents' double homicide. That left, and what was his resilience, the end of his resilience, it was the end, that was Batman. Batman became this coping mechanism in his way to express everything he needed to become a better, more complete person. And just in like modern comics, I think go to that well a bit too much and make it excuses for bad behaviors in a way, and especially in something called anti-heroes. They're bad guys, but they're not responsible for the wake they leave behind, the destruction, the body count, one could say, because they're chaotic good. So that's something to think about. But I'm a big fan of Drea and Brian. They have been very helpful to me, and they're good listeners, and they're worth you checking them out on Patreon. And they have an entire library. They've done every episode of Batman the Animated Series, and even more. They're doing the entire MCU right now. We're talking about mental health, and we're talking about coping mechanisms and how to use these stories to give us the ideas that we need to make these associations with psych. Such as I talk almost daily about my compassion fatigue. I got that. The terminology for the vocabulary from Arkham Sessions, because it was an episode of Batman the Animated Series where Batman almost gives up. There's this great scene of him sitting in his chair in the shadows with the cowl off, and he's exhausted mentally and emotionally and physically, and he's questioning. He's asking Alfred, "What am I doing? What's the point of all this?" And by the end of the episode, he's regained his mission, and he has found resilience in his traction in order to rise up and be a healthier person. So yeah, we've been talking about depictions of mental health in comic books. Why? Because we've been talking about the mental midget, the feather-brained brigand, the simple-minded fool. And if it's fair to use such descriptors anymore, I say no, it's not. But this is from an antediluvian age, before the flood, in the 20th century, back in the golden age of DC Comics. We're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year, so tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would like to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about spirituality, gratitude, cooking. I'm a professional chef. We talk about seeing planets in the pre-dawn clear sky. I will point them out, and I take little nature shorts of bunnies eating their breakfast. I think it's the cutest thing, and it's a nice tranquil moment before work, and I want to share that with you. So come aboard. Thank you so very much. Namaste. Good luck. God bless, and we will see you again tomorrow in the funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.